Better Games, Better Gamers is a show where we talk about how games shape and are shaped by the communities and the people around them. For this episode, I've invited the CEO and co founder of BetterPlay Studios, Vanessa Lane, to talk about her work in promoting video games that have a positive impact on mental health. So, very, very grateful to have you on the show. Yeah, if you want to give a little bit of a quick intro for
Yeah,
yourself.
definitely. Yeah, well, Dan, thanks so much for having me here. It's a joy to be here. I love talking about video games and mental health with people who are passionate about one or the other or both. So it's awesome to be here. And yeah, just like Dan said, I'm Vanessa, and yeah, I'm the CEO and co-founder of BetterPlay, and we're working with psychologists to create a gaming platform that's good for your mental wellness, but that doesn't sacrifice any of the fun. So we just believe that video games are hiding in plain sight as this powerful tool that can help you along your journey. And so we're passionate about unlocking the potential that they have, but also just being real about some of the pitfalls that kind of come within the gaming community, whether that's, addictive gaming or toxicity, or there's a lot of fear mongering around it. So we do care a lot about highlighting both the good and the bad, which is, getting down to the science and helping people leverage games in a way that's good for them.
Thinking about how games really make an impact on people is so much kind of what the show is about, is how games shape people, how games are shaped by people. And so I think just hearing about the studios is very much kind of felt like minds. And what were some of either your favorite games growing up, some of the games that really kind of shaped your love of gaming?
Okay, so I am so unapologetically like a Pokemon girl. That was Pokemon, and I'm older, so like Pokemon on the Game Boy Color was it for me. That was so fun. It was adventurous. Not once did now there's like a lot of concern about like the amount of time kids spend gaming. Not once did I think I was ever like it never felt like a bad thing to me. It was always like so like engaging, and like I was problem solving and I was exploring, and it was just like a really great experience. So playing Pokemon Red and Blue, and then when Yellow came out, that blew my mind, and then there was Gold and Silver. I could go on all day. But I really do like the classic like Red and Blue Pokemon. And then of course some of my earliest gaming memories involve me sitting on my dad's lap while he would play Madden. And so just like it's a variety of games. So I really do like the kind of like the narrative adventure, like Legend of Zelda. Like I play that with my kids, but also some of the sports games like hold a really special spot in my heart. I also have a great memory of getting a Nintendo 64 for Christmas. Like that was it. Like that was super cool. And then a couple, I think maybe even the next year getting maybe a PlayStation 2. So great memories. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Anybody like really really good times playing some of those games. And then yeah, just like watching gaming evolve. So we got the Nintendo Wii when that came out, and just like how fun, like because I'm assuming you're younger than I am. I don't like to make assumptions, but it just I am old now. Um, like it was just like a really good thing for parties. Like that was like a fun like wholesome activity for groups of people to do, especially when you're in like that teen tween age. And there's a lot of shenanigans you could be doing, but also the gaming was like a really positive thing. It was stress relieving, and yeah, so those are some of my earliest memories. Roller Coaster Tycoon, obviously, like on the PC, like oh my gosh. And the funny thing is, one of our advisors actually worked on Roller Coaster Tycoon, so
Mm.
that's like this crazy full circle moment for me of being like so heavily influenced by that game, and like that really informed my like how I think in systems. Like that it was just like a really great experience. And then having this guy join our team who is like, oh yeah, I worked on Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Corkscrew Volleys, and just being like, I loved that one. So great.
I love the kind of diversity in genres that you just went through too. It's just because
Yeah.
it really, I think it really, it's something that it's in the like late '90s, early
Mhm.
2000s. It's like yeah, I grew up that era as well, and it's just
Yeah.
like there was so many pivotal games. Like we had such a rich golden era of gaming. I was gonna ask you about Pokemon ones, but maybe I'll ask you about Madden instead.
Okay.
What's your team?
So I'm a Packer fan, and I'm one of those people that was like loyal like all the way through. Madden's changed so much, so I haven't really played lately, but I watch my nephew play, and like other like family members and kids in my life play, and I'm just amazed because I'm also a big sports fan. So, and this is true for like NBA 2K or NBA Street, which I also loved. Just they've shifted much more from being like team fans to like player fans, and that's been kind of fun to see like how video games has been a huge part of that. And you could even argue that video games helped inform that cultural shift, because kids are able to see, and adults, but like mainly kids are able to see, like they're able to like kind of function as like that GM role. So without getting off on too much of a tangent, I'm a Packer fan, always played as the Packers, felt bad anytime I wasn't. I like had like real Midwestern guilt when I didn't choose the Packers. And then also, yeah, I just started, I do embrace like the player like roster, like how do I construct like the best team and like move the chess pieces around. So that's pretty cool that it's made that shift.
Yeah, that's really well, and it's I think it's interesting because Madden. Well, I think the thread between like Madden, Pokemon, and Roller Coaster Team, and it's like why I think we're probably fairly similar types of gamers
Yeah.
is like the strategic aspect, and then Roller Coaster Team too
Yeah.
is just the same. It's like what are you like? How are you putting together the park and stuff? And then Madden is like that's why I like football is it's a
Mhm.
strategic game, and
Yeah.
Madden it's like
Running a startup that's so focused on games, sometimes you forget to like play games for fun. Like I actually do play a lot of games, but it's for work. And like I guess I'm approaching it. Sometimes I have to like remind myself like exhale, like this is like sometimes I have to like wind down a little bit, and games actually, they do help with that quite a bit. I just started playing Civ 6 to unwind, and wouldn't you know it, it is really helping because it's like the same kinds of games. And then again, our advisor worked on civilization games as well. So, and I'm from Michigan, and so like the Sid Meier is a Michigan guy, so like that's just like a cool connection.
what made you decide to work in gaming specifically, and what was kind of the journey from
Oh,
gamer Vanessa to working
that's
in
funny.
the industry.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it was not on my bingo card. I started my career as a middle school teacher, loved it, like absolutely loved it. You've got to be weird to teach middle school, and I'm weird, so it worked. That was a great career fit for me. I ended up having some pretty serious mental health issues, namely like generalized anxiety that got to a point where I had to take disability. Like I had to go on disability and like leave my teaching position in the middle of a school year. And like that felt like a big failure to me, because like what's worse, like a teacher, like they start in September, they end in May or June, depending on the state you live in. And like that's the year you get summer to recharge, like whatever. And I just kind of saw that as like a big failure. And it wasn't. Like I now know like it's like okay to do that. Like I needed to prioritize my mental health. So made that pivot. I was just super burned out from teaching. I earned a master's degree in computer information systems just to pivot more into tech. I was living in Seattle at the time, so like it was like a really great area to make that switch. There's just a lot of even you think of like the big companies like Microsoft and Amazon, but there's a lot of like mid-sized and smaller tech companies there too. So just like that helped inform that decision. And then my husband's job brought us to University of Michigan, so we're in the Ann Arbor community now. And as I was making this shift, I ended up working with my co-founder. We worked together across two different jobs. Long story short, we ended up working on an esports app. It was a psychometric app and coaching program. Michael, my co-founder, was leading the project on that, and I came in partway through, and we executed it. And we helped them go from like having a losing season to a winning season. And not only did they have a winning season, but they just kept winning and winning, and then they won the championship. And that was like $500,000 of prize money for this small group of guys who came from like a lot of them don't really have like a lot of money, and it was just like a really like life-changing experience, and they really resonated well with the mental wellness coaching. And we were like, okay, we really like this, we want to keep doing it. It was pretty clear at our day jobs that we weren't going to be able to keep doing that kind of work, and esports kind of is bubbly, as we probably all know. So like that wasn't really the most sustainable model. So we decided, we're like, we want to keep doing this. We really liked this. We had a great experience. We worked, Michael and I've worked together for a long time across a couple different jobs. So we were like, let's keep going. Let's run it back. And that's how we made the jump into BetterPlay Studios. We started as a game company. So we were going to make a game, and we actually released a playable prototype of our first game, The Outdwellers. And we we haven't, like I say, we've tabled it. We do have every intention of like coming back and finishing it and putting it on Kozee, but you can only do so many things at once, and we don't want to have like that startup shiny object syndrome where we're just like chasing everything. Like we're focused on Kozee, like the platform right now, but yeah, we made a game, and then we recognized the need to pivot. In order to be a high growth startup, we needed to move into the platform and just kind of table the game for a little bit. But we got as far as like the prototype stage, which is a key milestone. So I feel really proud of the work we put in on the Outdwellers.
There's a lot of people in the it's like people probably especially again that grew up like us playing games and then
Yeah.
wanting to become good developers and wanting to start that studio and to wanting to, so but it's interesting kind of the specifically where you're coming from of okay, first of all you're coming from teaching. I'm curious if you think that mentality plays into it as well.
Yeah, I do. I mean, yeah. So I was talking. I'm at a conference this week. It's Michigan Tech Week. So I'm in Detroit. Detroit's an amazing city. I had the opportunity to share a little bit more about our company on stage. And teaching, I think, makes things practical really fast. And I think that's a really valuable thing for someone who's wanting to start a business, whether it's because in game development, it's easy to get like caught up and kind of lost in the process of it's a very creative process. It's a very technical process. And so it's easy to get stuck in that and fully lose sight of like, is this actually like a viable business? And I'm not saying if someone out there is listening and wants to be a game developer, like I'm not saying like you have to make a business or, um, that a game has to be commercially successful for it to be a good game. Like that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that teacher side really helps you understand like, are there people out there that will actually use this? Can this work in real life? Like, will real people actually get something out of this? And so I think being a teacher has made me really resourceful and really practical about a lot of things. And then also I love our end user. I like genuinely have love for those people because like I loved my students. And so I'd run through a brick wall for them and have no regrets. So yeah.
I also wanted to ask, of course, because Better Play is, if I'm not mistaken, working with mental health professionals, and
That's
so I
right.
kind of am curious how that kind of adds on to that is like what how first of all, kind of how are you working with those professionals,
Mhm.
and kind of what how do you kind of match the two together with the developers and the
Yeah.
mental health professionals to actually.
So when we were working on the Outdwellers, we had and we have two main like psychology advisors. One is Dr. Alex Chris. He's the head of community mental health at Fordham in New York City. And he's also well published on the topic of gaming and mental health. He's written books and journal articles and things like that. He has been involved. He was involved in like all the narrative work on the game, and then Dr. Amy Dermis was also involved in the narrative work on the game. She's a pioneer in leveraging video games for mental health. She's an expert in bipolar disorder, and just really has her finger on the pulse of like what's happening in the community. Like she's someone who sees community trends before they're researched, and then leverages research to use best practices. Like I really think highly of the way both of these people practice, and they really their skill set is really complementary. So it's really we benefit from that, and so do the end users. They've also informed because we have an MVP, a minimally viable product in market for our platform. Both Alex and Amy have helped shape the survey process and like the overall like psychology of what we're doing because so what we're doing is rooted in science. Like even at this like MVP concept stage, we wanted everything we're doing to be rooted in science. So that's been really important. And then we actually just onboarded our latest team member. His name's Dr. Nick Bowman. He is at Syracuse University. He's an associate professor and he's a media psychologist. And so he's an expert. He's one of only a handful of people in the world that actually have like expertise in media psychology and video games. And so he's been more hands-on with the Kozee, the science behind Kozee. And so why that's important is we're starting a 4-part research study to help validate the science behind what we're doing. It has benefits for us on the product end. So like this is like really boring business talk, but it helps make sure that our product, some of it is proprietary. And that's just important for like the value of our business. But most importantly, we don't want to hurt people. Like we want to make sure that the things that we're actually doing the things that we say we're going to do, nothing more, nothing less. So if we would choose to go pursue like FDA regulations, which that hasn't been like a core part of our strategy. Like we do have a regulatory strategy, but that's not been a core part. If we would want to go further, then we would have some preliminary baseline research to help inform that process. So we've been really intentional about involving psychologists like every step of the way. And then kind of a second part too is a key partner of ours is mental health professionals. So we see Kozee as something that can be leveraged in a mental health setting. So we know that in heavily urban and heavily rural communities, mental health wait lists, like to see a therapist, for example, the wait lists tend to be a mile long. There are big gaps in between visits, and so having more access to interactive tools that can help hold over your day to day mood, mental health, mental wellness, can be helpful. So we're not trying to replace therapy. We're not trying to be a medical solution. But what we can say that we're doing is we can help you feel better day to day as you wait in between your therapy visits. And so that's kind of the goal of what we're trying to do. And so that's why it's been so important, is because we don't want to mislead our end users, and just like that really is like an ethical piece, and it's also part of our business model.
I think talking just a little bit more about Cozy and just kind of how it works and kind of
Yeah.
who uses it.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, we have this. I had mentioned this before. It's called a minimally viable product, and if folks in the gaming industry who work in it are probably comfortable with that term, but that's just like the first draft of what you're trying to do. So what we wanted to do with that is just show potential investors, like, hey, here's what we think Cozy could be. You load up the website, because it's a web app at this point. Load up the website, you check in, you say how you're doing, you play a game right on our website, and then when you're done gaming, you follow up and say how you're doing. After 5 sessions, we're able to recommend games that could be potentially therapeutic for you because of the information that you've willed to share with us. We don't pull data from any other way. We're not sleazy about it. It's always what people want to share with us. So at this point, our users tend to be young adults. Actually, I say young adults. It's been about 18 to 60. We thought for sure it'd be like 18 to 45 maybe, but we're actually seeing people who are older, because like people who are in their 60s, like my parents, like they grew up gaming. So we didn't see that coming, and it was just kind of interesting. We tend to lean more into the female community. All genders are represented. We have more males than I would have expected. I think gamer guys are actually more open into talking about their mental health and checking out cozy gaming as an alternative than I would have expected. So that's been surprising. Big picture, we see this being something that families leverage. Because like, as I'm a young mom, and I know that people my age who do choose to have kids are being very selective with the technology that they give their kids. My kids don't have iPads or tablets. I just bought my kids a dumb phone, like a flip phone. Like, I had a nicer phone when I was a kid. I just bought them like a flip phone. Yeah, I'm not doing like smartphones with my kids for a while at least. So I think people like millennials and Gen Z, we're just a little bit more um, thoughtful about how, like, what kinds of tech we put in front of our kids. And I think that even goes into gaming. I think parents are always feeling like they're like kind of at it's like a power struggle with their kids over, like, what kinds of platforms they're allowed to use. And we see that as an opportunity moving forward. Besides that, eventually we see partnering with like mental health, like residential mental health facilities, patient technology teams in hospital systems. Like, we do have some relationships with large hospital systems that we're already establishing, so that they can have the Cozy app on their tablet for when kids are gaming. Because the worst part about being in the hospital is, like, you just don't feel like a normal kid anymore, right? You just want to do things that, like, you're
Mhm.
used to doing, and like a part of that is gaming. And we want to make sure that kids can play fun games and also keep their mood in check as well. So we're exploring some of those partnerships right now. It's actually really exciting.
How do you kind of working with the developer community as well, and to kind of what to curate the platform? And of course, it's like you guys were talking about. You started it kind of thinking you were gonna and have a game yourself.
Yeah.
So how does that kind of work?
Okay, so
Um,
this is one of the most exciting parts about Cozy, that I think it's like gamers get it, but people outside of the gaming community wouldn't immediately see this. So right now, we all know that the gaming industry can be a bit of a cesspool. It's just not a healthy place. Layoffs happen all the time. It's rough. It's crunch, a lot of crunch toward the end of deadlines. Anyway, with all the layoffs that have happened, that has meant that this is kind of an indie gold mine. So we've been able to partner with solo developers and small studios who have games that they've already made, and they just need a little bit of money to port it over to a WebGL version, and we can give them like basically free publicity. We do have an agreement where we pay our developers. It's a small amount right now. We're a small startup, but we're able to pay them like a flat fee and host their game. And then, eventually moving forward, business model wise, like we'd probably look into like a rev share as we start charging folks. Cause right now Cozee's free to play. Um, it's been incredible. Like that curation process has been really cool. Like the games on our platform are awesome. Um, we have several that just the art just will take your breath away, and it's funny because it's in this WebGL browser based format. Part of the process for curating that is like the games they have to be either about mental health and topic. They have to have cozy mechanics. They could be good for you, like kind of brainy games. Like the one example of that really comes to mind is Chill Seekers, or like Trenga, which is a match between like Tetris and Jenga. So they just have to be like kind of like puzzly sort of, or they just have to like kind of fit the like overall cozy aesthetic. So we've been, and I really owe it to my co-founder Michael, he has a really clear picture of like what that looks like, and has done a great job of curating these games. I'm really proud of like the diversity of games we have, despite us being kind of we're launching to a cozy market, and even within that, the diversity that we've been able to achieve in just 14 games is really a testament to not only Michael's vision, but also like the creativity of the game dev community. It's just like, oh my gosh, these developers are so talented, and we get to partner with them and leverage their games for good. And it's just an amazing experience. So for anyone listening, like definitely check out our platform and honor the work of what these amazing developers are doing, because it's fun and it'll definitely relax you, and just like the art, it'll take your breath away.
Just this week was kind of looking into it. The bug catcher one.
Oh, Bug and Seek, yeah.
Bug and Seek.
Well,
It's
good.
just like it's like it
Yes.
definitely reminded me of the Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley style.
Mhm.
But it's interesting too, because it's like, oh, I caught a spider, and it's like my initial reaction is like, oh no, spider. But because it's on the platform, because it's now thinking about like, wait a second, am I leaning into it's like, do I need to lean into that, or like, no, I'm in a calm place, and so I'm just looking for friends right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
everyone that I'm finding is friends. I don't know anything about like how that game came to be
yeah.
or what the story behind it is, but just by the nature of itself, it's like, wait a second, like I'm here to be calm.
No, the studio is so peculiar. Like the studio is amazing. They're based out of Tennessee. Really, they have a really cool story. And then I believe they're porting Bug and Seek over to Switch. So I'm eager to try that out because I love Switch gaming. It just in terms of like it's cozy for me. It's comfortable. I just love the experience. So I'm really eager to check that out. They also have another game that demos on our platform, Closer Than You Know. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she loves that game. That is like her game. Like and it's, again, they just have the demo on our platform, but that's been a favorite of hers, for sure. Like they do a really good job over at So Peculiar.
You were touching on a little bit of kind of the where the industry is right now. I'd kind of want to flip the script on that a little bit
Mhm.
and talk about kind of what you like about being in the game. It's
Yeah.
like what's so cool about the game for people, because I think right now there's a lot of fear in it, but I think what do you think is what are you hopeful about maybe
Oh
of
yeah.
for the end game? It's like for people that want to be like are thinking about starting a studio or thinking about just building their games, but then looking like, oh, there's layoffs. They're never going to find a job in games. What
Oh,
would you say to kind
yeah.
of someone like that?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not toxically positive. Like I'm not a toxic positivity person, but I am like unapologetically full of hope, and I think that's why I'm a startup founder. You have to be. There's no other way. Like you just have to you go against the odds. So what I love about the industry is like kind of like what I said before. It's like the game dev talent is unreal. Like even what we were able to pull off, like low budget MVP, like, hey, we just want to get this concept out there. What we were able to pull together because of like our developer partners, I think was really great. I do think that a lot of people in the industry care about making good games, period. and good in every sense of the word. Like they want to make games that are awesome to play. Even like I know like first person shooters get a lot of heat, but like we know like the research behind that, like you can get into a flow state, and that can be really good for some people's mental health. So like I'm even thinking about like some of those games too. It's like they just want to make good games that are high quality, that are extremely immersive, and just like push the limits of technology. Like yes, like so a lot of that kind of stuff. So there's really good people making really good games. I think that there is a light being shined on some of the toxicity in gaming, and I think that incremental progress is being made. It's never fast enough or sufficient, but I think people are beginning to recognize that more, even more so than 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. I think there's more awareness, and I'm seeing, and it's definitely because of like my algorithms and like the community I'm in, but a lot of interest in psychology and gaming. So I think that can only be good when there's a lot of diverse opinions, and diverse research happening on psychology and gaming. Um, so that's good. Um, also, I've been really inspired by Concerned Ape and like Stardew Valley, and like he's making another game, Haunted Chocolatier. I know Stardew Valley that's like a moonshot, like home run, like 40 million units sold. Like that is it's not realistic to do what he did, like that, like to promise like a solo dev that they're just going to be able to pull off what he did. That's not realistic. But I think something that's kind of hopeful and like can be learned from that is like he made the game that he wanted to make, and he made the game, he just like really wanted to finish a project. And so I think that that there's something really good and decent about that, of like, hey, like he just wanted to make something and like finish it. And like I think that's like a really good thing for people who are wanting to get into the industry. It's like it's okay, you can just like start on your own and just like finish something and then start there and then just keep building from that. So I'm generally just like really hopeful about the young people and even like older people who are making career pivots like that I meet in the industry, and just like how talented they are. And if you're willing to like stick with something, I do believe like an opportunity will come for people who are willing to stick with it. Like I've seen that firsthand as a startup founder. Like if you stick with it, and maybe it means you have to take another job at the same time, or you have to build the game, when you're not at work. But if you're willing to stick with it, like something will happen. That's usually how it goes. Blood, Sweat, and Pixels is the
So
book that I read. So like that's the book that I read that like really got me excited. It's a great way to like hear about all like a variety of games in the industry. So Blood, Sweat, and Pixels was a great read. And
blood,
then
sweat, and
the follow up is Press Reset. Blood, Sweat, and
nice,
Pixels. So that is Jason Schreier. Yeah,
nice.
Jason
Oh,
Schreier. Yeah,
I think yeah, and I think did he just come out with another book?
I think so. He's like really well respected, and yeah. So and the
Yeah.
audiobook was great. So
You talked a little bit about civilization. I wanted to kind of go back.
Bob is one of our advisors, and when we were like pretty hands on with our Outdwellers project, we talked to Bob every day. And then now we still he's still on the team. Like we check in with him pretty regularly. But it is just when you work with someone who he's a 30-year video game industry veteran, it shows. He has been absolutely relentless about making sure that everything we do leads with fun. Everything we do. And like the best way that I can like sum it up for people is when you're playing Super Mario World, like the old one, think about how much fun it is to just like run and collect coins. And it's like everything from like how it feels in your hand to like collect the coins, and like the sound you hear, like just like, brrr, like you're just like running through and just collecting coins. Like that's like the example he used, is like everything you do needs to be fun and like lead with that. And so he really helped us understand and be biased toward that, especially in what we're trying to do, because he's advised a lot of companies and like worked on Civilization, Roller Coaster Tycoon. He was on the team that invented the Bop It. Just like he's had an amazing career. A lot of people try to make games that are like good for financial literacy, or good for mental health, or good for like learning the food groups or whatever. They've got some like really like noble mission. He's like, none of that matters if your game sucks. Like none of that matters. So it is like mission critical like for us especially, not to get too sucked up. A lot of people want us to be a health tech company. Like a lot of people are like, well, if you just did this, you could bill for insurance. And like that's fantastic. I'm not saying we're not ever going to look at any of those strategies, but we have to be like laser focused on making sure that our product is fun in a gaming community, and like in this space, because that is the only way we'll ever be able to serve people um, the goodness that we want to. So I think that that's been like the benefit of having someone who has that industry experience, working with Sid on Pirates and on Civilization, working with the Roller Coaster Tycoon team, and being a CEO of a game studio. Like he really brought that to the table.
I think there's different ways to start a company and different ways to start a studio. But I think first of all, I think it's great. It's like who your advisors really, really matters.
It does.
Um, and because yeah, it's going to completely shape that. But I think especially for gaming, it's just like what's behind the company itself is
Yeah.
just what are your key values, what are the key things you're focusing on. If you're following what your advisors or what your investors or what they they want, you need to be, it's like they are going to try to be aligned towards that. If you just want to focus solely on mental health or health in general, it's like that's a path
Right.
too. But to have the kind of unique combination is sounds like what kind of really makes the studio.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing about Bob, is we just like my co-founder reached out to him in a cold email, and like what we're doing, I think really resonated with him, and he sees a real opportunity with it, and that's true. We have another advisor who published his 361st game while working with us, and is extremely well known in the industry, and was at Activision Blizzard. I mean, like really a really storied career in the gaming space, and just the opportunity to get to work with him. I mean, it's amazing, and I think people just really caught the mission, and believed in the vision of like where we're going with this company. Um, it's been incredible, and I think too, like when starting a studio, it would have been very easy for us to get pulled into like, oh, but like you could imagine what you could do in healthcare if you just positioned more as a healthcare company. The people we get most of our user engagement when we drop a new game, so like keeping the content fresh, and like people come to us for the game content, and the fact that we prioritize mental health, I think, shows like a set of shared values with our end user. But it's not like necessarily the driving force. Like the entertainment is still the driving force, and like that's how we feel as a company, is like we want to always be gaming forward, and mental health like kind of within that. I used the term Trojan horsing before, but one of our psychologists, Alex, said it's kind of like, would you rather eat broccoli that has like chocolate all over it, or would you rather eat chocolate with a little bit of broccoli inside? And most of us would probably take the chocolate with a little bit of broccoli inside. And I think gamers are the same way. It's like they want the games to be good. And so Bob really helped us be stubborn about that, and not sacrifice that. Like he's been relentless about that.
So now I'm thinking about broccoli flavored
Yeah,
chocolate.
well, yeah, dry heaving on this podcast, right? The audio will pick that up, right? And disgusting.
Yeah, other second half of that question is
Yeah.
yeah, is I think talking about what you're what you're playing recently. You said Civ. What else, is there anything
Yeah,
else
yeah,
you're
definitely. So I play a
focused
lot of
on?
Stardew Valley is like a go-to for me because it's just so comforting. It's a happy place, a safe place. I also just bought my daughter Echoes of Wisdom, the new Legend of Zelda game. So that's
Uh,
been something fun to play as a family. I'm pretty big on like we do play a lot of Nintendo Switch games, and so we play up on like our TV. So it's like a communal experience like as a family. So that's been fun for us to like unwind together and just like be thinking about like, well, how are we going to solve this problem? And then my daughter and son they'll talk about like how they think we should approach this boss, and like how to accomplish this task, and that's just kind of nice to see them working together. Yeah, and then I think too, I'm always like trying new mobile games just to see what's going on, so I tend to play a lot more of like the like math type of games, or like chess, or like strategy, or like more like puzzle games on my phone. And then yeah, and then I do play a little bit of chess as well. So just trying to keep my mind sharp, as they say. That neuroplasticity stuff, like really, I don't know. That's like it's important to me. It's like I always want to be trying like a new genre. So I think I've not actually played. Is it the Disney Dreamlight Valley? Like that's the one I really want to play. It's like a cozy game that every cozy person is like, oh, this game's amazing, and it's like one of the cozy games that I haven't played yet. So that's kind of on my list next, I would say.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting. I want to just distinguish. You're saying Cozy,
Yes,
Cozy,
yes,
but then the platform is Kozee. So I
yes.
want to
Thank
distinguish.
you.
I want to make sure that that's
Yeah, so I
clear
don't
in
get
what you're
sued by
talking about.
Disney. Thank you. I appreciate that. My lawyers do too. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, cozy, Cozy is the genre defined by an affect, how it makes you feel. And then yeah, like you said, cozy, Kozee dot games. That is our platform. Check it out. It's free to play.
What are you looking forward to, especially regarding this? With what games are you looking forward to, and
Mhm.
then and an addendum to that, especially regarding Switch 2.
Okay, wow. I feel like I haven't had enough time to like really process Switch 2. Just games I'm looking forward to. I have like a pretty big backlog of games that I haven't played. So I mentioned the Disney Dreamlight Valley. Just I've played a little bit of Dave the Diver, but I haven't like jumped in like no pun intended. I haven't jumped in like I should have. There's a lot of cozy games, COZY games that I really need to play as someone who's like, kind of launching in the space. I do like to take breaks, like I've kind of alluded to before, and play games like Civilization. So I haven't put enough time into Civ yet to really feel like it's time to move on. Um, I like to get to about like 100 hours before I like really give my thoughts on a game. So hopefully that's respectable. I don't know. I mean, some like I know people who are like, I don't give my opinion until 300 hours. It's like, well, I don't have time for that. Um, yeah, and then Switch 2, I am just like a Nintendo fangirl. So I haven't had enough time to think about it, but all of the above, can't wait. Love all the things. Super Smash Bros. Like everything always.
I'm sure you follow Amir.
Yeah,
We
he's
have
great.
the yeah, was the Wind Waker
Yeah,
remake? I think
yes.
the yeah
How did I not
yeah
lead with that? Yes, I just talked to my daughter about it. I was like, "You don't even understand. Like, Wind Waker is probably the best game, like the best Zelda game, and I'm not the only person who thinks that." So, if Amir thinks it's good, I think Amir's opinion is just fine with me. So, he loves that
yeah.
one.
So we've talked about games the whole time. What are some other things you enjoy to do outside of work
Oh,
and
man. Wow, I
in the
don't get I
gaming
don't get
world?
asked that very often. What a great simple, great question. Yeah, so I really like to exercise and be outside. I'm a mom, as I said, so I've got 2 kids and a big dog, got a great husband. Just spending time with them is wonderful. My husband works with University of Michigan students, go blue, I think I'm supposed to say that. So I really like spending time with college students. Gen Z is and Gen Alpha, it's Gen Alpha now actually. I'm just really inspired by them. They're really great. They make me feel 100 at all times, but I really, really like them. Um, Big NBA fan, so love the Milwaukee Bucks, but I watch all NBA. Just love to keep up with what's happening, especially here in Detroit. The Pistons are in a growing year, so it's always kind of fun to see what they're up to. And then I'm pretty engaged in the startup ecosystem, both here in Michigan, and then just like I try to be engaged like nationally and just like know what's going on. So I'm just like to know what's going on with like investing trends and the markets and what it's like. And that's kind of my job, as a CEO, is I kind of have to like I really like learning about like what waves are coming and like strategically because we have to kind of set that strategic alignment. And so it's like how do I continue to position the company for success? I know that sounded like a really worky answer, but like that is actually really fun for me. So I do enjoy that. And then I love to read. So a lot of it is like reading about business and investing and things like that, but I also have gotten really into Japanese mystery novels of all things. So hey, like I just got to keep it fresh. No, my co-founder is like he is very gifted at like listening to someone talk and understanding their interests and then matching them with like a 4.99 game on Steam. Like he's so good at that. So yeah, he should really be here. He's much more interesting when it comes to he plays really cool games. Like he's a Yakuza guy and like anything that's like Street Fighter. Like he plays a variety of games, but Yeah, and then he's a big Alan Wake fan too, so, like, we did talk about that quite a bit. I don't think I have the stomach for Alan Wake, it's a little too much.
Oh, and I was also just personal curiosity, what you said big dog.
Yeah.
What type of big dog? How big?
Okay,
And what
100
type of
pounds, I think that counts,
okay.
right? I think that's like 100, yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah,
fit
I'd say
too.
so.
He's a fit boy, so 100
Yeah.
pounds, he's a hound retriever mix. He's a rescue. We got him during the pandemic like everybody else, and, we got him actually because my daughter had anxiety, and her preschool teacher was like, "I think you guys should get a pet, like, I think that's really gonna help, Della," my daughter. It's gonna help Della just feel more, like she's got something to focus on, something to comfort her and care for her, and he is amazing. Last night when I went to like say goodnight to her, she was using him like a body pillow, like lounging on him while she was reading a book. So I think he's doing his job, and she's really resonating. So a good
Yeah.
date.
So what's your favorite dog in gaming?
Oh, I have to say my dog in Stardew Valley, right? Like it just like because I just started a new run, so I finally got my dog loves me now. So my dog in Stardew Valley is named Toby. So I got to give Toby a shout out. And then oh my gosh, what is I don't know if I have a favorite.
First of all, thank you so much for coming on
It's my
and
pleasure. Yeah,
for
this
all
was really
this. Where can we get more info about the studio and also about you?
join our Discord. It's just Kozee, Games, Games. And then I can give Dan the links for that. And then Kozee, Kozee.games is our web app. It's an MVP, but try it out. The more users we get, the more feedback we can get. So that's really good for us. We'd love to welcome you to the Kozee community. I can be found on LinkedIn. My name is Vanessa Lane. And then I'm also available via email. It often takes me 2 to 3 business days to respond. I'm a busy woman, but it's Lane, Lane, at betterplaystudios.com. And I would love to hear from anybody. Seriously.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, please hit subscribe and follow on bettergamers.com and social media.